All right, hello and welcome to episode 2 of the 2Hard2Pass podcast. I am your host, Juan Martinez, and to my left or right, I still haven't figured that out. It's Jacques Slade.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Welcome to the show. Welcome to 2Hard2Pass, the hardest pass, the hardest possible.
No. Why do you? I already saw it in the comments. Someone said pause already within the first minute of the show, and we're already off to a great start, buddy.
You just want to get people excited about the show.
Oh, fantastic. Great energy today.
Yeah. How you been, man?
Good. It's not like we haven't been talking for like an hour already because we just recorded the show. But anyways, I'm doing great. How are you, Jacques?
I'm fantastic. I'm absolutely fantastic. It's a good day today. There is construction going on my street right now, so you may hear some of that in the background today. So, FYI, everyone watching. Hopefully it doesn't get too distracting, but they're doing something to the curb. I don't know what it is.
Curb. Actually, I will spoil it for the people. Jacques is actually having a Olympic-sized pool built in his backyard.
Yeah, I wish I had a backyard big enough for an Olympic-sized pool. That would be amazing. I wish.
Humble. Jacques is just being humble, people. It's okay. It's all right. So anyways, I just want to thank people for the success of the first episode. We dropped the trailer. We posted the first episode. Got a lot of good feedback, good comments, good energy. And I greatly appreciate that. So thank you to everybody who's listened. Thank you everybody who's going to listen. And subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Follow the channel and all that. And just to let the people know, we are now on Spotify. We are now on Apple Podcasts. And we are now on Amazon Music. And I know there's other like pod catchers out there too, so we'll try to get those at some point.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
knock out those major ones.
I don't know I listen to all my podcasts on Apple Podcasts. So all these other platforms,
it's there now.
I don't know how much popping these other ones are, so I'm just like, oh yeah. Yeah, we're on the other places, people.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So leave a review there. Give us the 5 stars so we can sell out and do ad reads.
There you go. Yeah. At some point, we're probably going to have to add ad reads to the show to help pay for it.
Yes, exactly.
And we thank you guys in advance for supporting us. Use code HARDPASS.
Use codes. Oh, boy. Yeah. And then we also have a email. So if people want to send questions, we might do a mailbag at some point. The email address is 2hard2passpodcast@gmail.com. So that's 2hard2passpodcast@gmail.com. So send in those questions. If you have anything you want to say, we might put it on the show. If it's too offensive, we won't. If it's really nice and really complimentary, we'll put it on there, definitely. But no, just any general questions. If you have any thoughts, any questions about Jacques Slade and how awesome he is, and if you have any stories that you might want us to tell, just let us know. And we will oblige.
I don't understand the direction this is headed in, so I'm just gonna act like I didn't hear anything.
Story time, Jacques. That's what people want to hear. They want to hear story time at some point.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, not every story. We can't tell every story. We can't.
I'm not sure that's a thing at all.
Yeah. No. Well, anyways, Jacques. So we just recorded the latest episode of Hard Pass. What did you think?
Another good episode. I think we knocked this one out of the park. Lots of different things we're covering. Obviously, we covered New Balance on this episode. Cooper Flagg. Little bit of Kanye talk. There is some DeMar DeRozan talk, and then the Nike Lego thing, which is pretty exciting.
We'll talk about that
obvious reasons that we don't know where it's going to go or how Nike and Lego are going to proceed, but we have a lot of speculation on what that may mean.
Which is what this show is for. Is a lot of speculation and uninformed guesses. Basically, is what's going to happen later on.
Well, welcome to the show, people.
Welcome to the show. So, anyways, let's start with Cooper Flagg. I would say that was one of the bigger sneaker stories that came out this past week. He has signed with New Balance. To the surprise of a lot of people. And I thought, hey, that sounds like a logical choice, actually, because he is from the northeastern area, Newport, Maine. And once you hear the press release and you hear the story about how he used to go with his mom to the factory store and, buy shoes, kind of makes sense. And, it kind of builds that local feel, that vibe, that loyalty that will create for him. And I think it'll serve him well in the future, regardless of whether he stays in New Balance or not. Because I'm assuming this is an NIL deal because he is still just going to college. It's not like a big, like actual sneaker endorsement, whatever. Or is this actually like a deal at this point?
I'm not sure about that. That's a very interesting like angle on it. I would imagine that it's an NIL deal at the moment and that it'll eventually turn into a full-on signature deal. But there isn't anything obvious about that. So if it's an NIL deal, this means it's a lifestyle deal really for him because he can't wear New Balance on the court because he goes to Duke and they're a Nike school. So he has to wear Nike for all like school branded events.
Right.
And maybe that's why the announcement seemed so like bland as far as like there was no school colors or anything like that. I'm not sure. I imagine he could be. I'm not sure if he can be signed as a college kid to a full-on signature deal afterwards. Doesn't seem like it right now, and that's an interesting take. So maybe it is just an NIL deal at the moment, but I imagine that there's a stipulation that they have like first right of refusal or something like that. So when he does make it to the league next year. Because I think we're all on the same note that next year he'll be going to the league, that he's probably going to be a one and done kind of kid. Yeah. That next year he'll wear New Balance and that'll be part of his thing. I'm sure there's a stipulation for a signature shoe deal and all of those things as well. Right. But it's probably going to depend on how he plays.
Right, and I think that's at the end of the day that's going to be the most important thing is how he actually performs on the court. And he's going to be doing it in Nikes because that's the Duke. Duke's a Nike school. So people are going to see him in Nikes, but off the court, he's probably going to be walking whatever the hottest, whatever the hype New Balance is at the moment. And I feel like it's just a good thing. I think it's a good thing for Cooper Flagg to like actually spread and like, do other brands because he has been seen mostly just wearing Nikes and Jordans and all that stuff. And to just have that variety, I think is a good thing. Not just for Cooper Flagg, but for like other athletes as well. I think we're in a place where you don't have to sign with Nike. You don't have to sign with Adidas. I think you can sign with a New Balance or a Puma or even sign with On Running for like, if it's just an NIL deal, like, you can just go out there and just go train in your On Runners or your Hokas or your whatever. And I think that would be a good thing.
I think what's happening, what I want to see, there's a couple of thoughts running through my head here. Couple of things. I want to see him do the Giannis thing where he comes to practice and gives everybody a pair of New Balance, give everybody a pair of 996s, 990s or something like that. The way that Giannis does it with his shoes. Second, when you're thinking about like On Running and Hoka and all of those things, I think it's a great opportunity for them to find like the right athlete, like the right high level athlete that also does running. So if there's like a major basketball player that likes to run marathons or a football player that runs marathons or something like that, that would be such a great tie-in for them. Now that you mentioned that, I don't know of any student athlete that likes running unless they are a runner. So that's gonna be.
Well, it might be like a Tyreek Hill situation, who plays for Miami Dolphins. Like if NIL deals were a thing, like back when he was in college, he could have signed something like that. And I think someone, like you're right, someone who is actually fond of actually going out there training and running and all that stuff would be a good thing. I don't know if necessarily that would be a good thing for Cooper Flagg, but I feel like this would be a good thing. And that Giannis idea is actually pretty cool. I think that would be. I think
because you see the college kids doing it now. You see them doing it now, where they'll give everybody headphones or give everybody this or give everybody that, like that sort of thing. I would love to see that same sort of energy, and New Balance capture that same kind of energy and capture it on film to share. On social media, because that's what the kids do. You want to take care of your team, and especially when you're coming in like Cooper Flagg with so much hype behind you. Like he's going to be like the big man on campus essentially, because they know he's a one and done. His name is obviously all over the place. So in order for him to come in and then to be able to share that experience with his teammate, I think it goes a long way with kids being able to show that it's not just about me, it's about this team as well.
Right. Now, that being said, though, Jacques, like this might be who knows if this is a long-term deal or a short-term deal, but if you were in Cooper Flagg's situation, do you see yourself staying with New Balance for the long term, or do you feel like after a couple years, it might be time to go get that Nike bag? If it's available, of course.
I think you stay with I think you stay with New Balance.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a value for you as an athlete if you can continue to grow with the brand. But it's also going to mean that New Balance is really going to need to step up on their side. Like, it needs to be like...
That's the other thing, yes.
A thing that a lot of people don't really understand. These deals, these signature shoe deals, they're more marketing than they are about really the footwear that you get. Like, that all helps, and it's great to have the shoes and to have signature lines and all of those things. But it's really the marketing and the way that that brand is able to get you out in front of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason people want to sign with Nike so much is like the Nike commercials and the Nike ads and all of the things that Nike does around their athletes. That's part of the value of being the athlete. You're associated with this brand, but you're also being put out in front of the world all the time because they're always creating ads. You don't see that sort of energy from New Balance. And I think that is where these smaller brands have to step up, because these athletes that are signing with them might be signing for a lot of money, but they're missing out on that ad revenue. Not I'll say exposure. that exposure that they get with Nike or that they get with Adidas, and that's almost just as valuable as the money that you're getting, because I think that turns into money. It gets your face out there. You become a recognizable name. That's how you become a household name, with these ads that always have you out there. So I think if you play well and continue, and he stays with New Balance is going to need to step up on that marketing side of things. It's great that they're doing a lot of the grassroots stuff, and that stuff matters, and that stuff is important. But getting him on the national stage and national campaigns and national ads, that's going to be the bigger draw from him. And I think that's why players will stay with a brand like New Balance, because they're going to get that exposure. They're going to be the top level athlete that's getting that sort of shine. I mean, New Balance has Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, and you only see her during the Olympics. She should be out all the time. Like, she's huge. She's literally the fastest woman in the world. Like, she's crushing it. She should be out there getting that sort of exposure, but you don't really see her that often.
Right. In terms of ads, I think I've only seen, do you know the video billboard that's on like the 10 freeway? Mm-hmm. There's a big one that has Sydney McLaughlin on there, and that's basically the only exposure that I've seen outside of like watching the Olympics. Yeah,
and she's great on camera. She has a great personality. She's smart. She's fast. more important than anything else, she's fast. And like that alone should have her in more things that are happening on the New Balance side of things. But they don't have that advertising budget, I guess, that you don't see them out there like that. And I think that is something that athletes that sign to a brand need to consider. Kawhi doesn't matter. Kawhi is the funny guy. That's all he is. You know what I mean?
Which is, now that you mention it, like, they have Kawhi and they also have Shohei Ohtani, who's also not the most out there, athlete. So I feel like it's part of their brand is to have these athletes who kind of just show their work, not necessarily are showing out, but they just show their work, and it's like they prove it on the court, on the field, and everything. So maybe it's part of the strategy too as well. And speaking of that strategy, oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the brands for Shohei and Kawhi, the brand's doing the work, and the athlete isn't really doing any of the work. Which when they both work together concurrently, that's when the magic happens.
Right. And speaking of that strategy, though, there are players, NBA players right now, who are talking about the deal. I think Kyle Kuzma said something to the effect of "Nike is cooked," which I thought was an interesting take.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Then Gilbert Arenas, I want to say friend of the program, Gilbert Arenas.
Friend of the program. Yeah. Let's call him. We can call him a friend of the program. Yeah.
He broke with an interesting take, and he said something to the effect of Nike's not looking for Cooper Flagg if they let him go to New Balance. And I thought that was an interesting take, just because, does he mean that it's because Nike's already kind of full? Or they have already, like, plenty of people on their roster? Or do they feel like maybe they can get, like, we mentioned, maybe they can get Flagg in the future? Or do they not see Flagg as somebody who's going to be, like, a marketable athlete in the vein of Ja or Sabrina or Caitlin Clark or Zion or Big Vic or Victor Wembanyama? I thought that was an interesting take from Gilbert, and it's definitely a take that I think would be that you don't necessarily would hear.
Yeah, I don't think
that Nike doesn't care, or Nike doesn't want it.
I don't know if it's that Nike doesn't care. I think Nike has a very full roster at the moment, and for them
which
to
we
add
named in the
Cooper
show,
Flagg,
yeah,
Cooper Flagg could easily get lost. Some of the guys that are there end up getting lost. Like, so it's hard to be an athlete on the Nike roster. You have to really have to be the best of the best, and be willing to earn. You have to, in a sense, earn your spot there. And I think that's a tough place to be. You got Luka, you've got Jason, you've got Book, you've got LeBron, you've got KD, you've got Asia in the future coming. You got Sabrina Ionescu. Like those names aren't small time folks. Like those are the best of the best. So it's hard to earn that spot, and we really never know what the story is. You know, Cooper's team might have been like asking for outrageous amounts of money, and Nike was like, "Nah,
not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. You know, we gotta see. We gotta see. You know,
and if it comes down to it, you see Victor Wembanyama, and you look at Cooper Flagg, and you're thinking to yourself, if you have to do an either or, I think you might have to go with the big man, Big Vic. Yeah, regardless of whether the stereotype of big men don't wear shoes.
Right.
Wembanyama is such an outlier that I think it's not going to matter with him.
That I would disagree with that. I think they're still going to have a hard time selling Victor's shoes. I think he's a great asset to the brand. But I still don't see he doesn't have, and I hate to say this, but he doesn't have Shaq's personality.
Oh, sure.
Like you have to have, as a big man, you have to have something different. And Victor's different is basketball related, like it's strictly basketball related. Shaq was basketball related, but he also had like a great outgoing and fun personality. Right. Like I don't think we're going to see Victor Wembanyama doing Shazam. Not that it was a great movie, but
right. I see what you're saying. Yes,
you know what I'm saying.
Especially in the '90s, it was definitely like there was the novelty of having somebody who was out there and he was doing the rap videos. It was starring in movies, sitcoms, whatever you want to name it. Shaq was definitely out there. So.
Yes. Yeah, I don't see Victor Wembanyama doing that. Maybe he does it in France, and I'm just not privy to that media side of things. But I don't see him having that outgoing, crazy, fun personality. Whereas, like even LeBron's done movies, LeBron's done TV shows. Like we see him in those roles and in those places. So it's hard for someone like Victor's size in order to do that. I would love to see him on a sitcom. I would love to see him doing things like that in order to raise his profile in a sense here in America. We know him, like the basketball heads obviously know him, but do people outside of the basketball heads really know who Victor Wembanyama is?
Right, exactly. I like how we went from Cooper Flagg to Victor Wembanyama. The discussion went that way, but it's fine.
No, I think it's the same. I mean, I think the same rules apply for Cooper Flagg. You know, he's a name in the basketball world, but how does he get a name outside of that? And is New Balance the catalyst to get his name outside of that? That should be what they're thinking about once he signs his extension or whatever it is outside of the NIL deal.
Awesome. Yeah, totally.
If it is an NIL deal, we don't know that for sure. So
we're not exactly sure.
We're not sure.
What the actual terms of the deal is. But I did also bring up Gilbert Arenas for the specific reason that I can finally tell that Gilbert Arenas story that we talked about on the pod. That we were like, oh, I should bring it up at some point. Gilbert Arenas almost got me fired once upon a time, Jacques.
Little story time here. Little story time.
It's time for story time. Exactly. So. I would say this was in the mid 2010s. We were deep in the blog world. I was running Kicks on Fire, and I was also handling the Twitter. And at some point, Gilbert Arenas was doing his Sneaker Champ thing, where he was talking about the sneakers that he was wearing on the court, giving away shoes. And on Twitter, I just asked the people, do we think Gilbert Arenas is the Sneaker Champ? Or something to that effect. You know, like, who do you think? It wasn't necessarily declaring Gilbert the Sneaker King, but was he one of the Sneaker Kings? One of them. One of them. And for some reason, that got to Gilbert, and he was, at least at the time I thought he was, mad about it. and he started to tweet at Kicks on Fire and was telling us we were trash, we were terrible. He's giving away shoes. Go follow Nice Kicks, go follow Sneaker News.
Wow.
And he was like giving away sneakers if you would trash Kicks on Fire. And I'm like, what is going on here? I was just asking a question. Why, Gilbert, what are we doing here, man? And I tried to tweet at him and I was like complimenting him and everything. And he was just going and going and going. And I was like, oh no, I think I just got in major trouble or something like that. I was like, this is not a good thing. And it went on for the whole day. That whole day, Gilbert was just on fire on Twitter, just talking mad trash. And I was like, man, this is, I think I'm not going to be working here. I'm not going to be working here anytime soon if I just ended up starting a feud with an NBA player. And it turns out it was far from that. Jazzy, our good friend, former GM of Kicks on Fire, she reached out to Gilbert. And she sent me the text chain that they said. And they said, Gilbert was like, hey, man, I hope we all got a lot of followers out of that. Like, it was like all part of a game to him. He was just messing around. And he's like, hey, I hope, I was just having fun and all that good stuff. And I was like, dang it, Gilbert. You
got you all stressed out.
Got me all stressed out. And to this day, I've never had a chance to interview him or talk to him. And if I ever see him, and this is my chance, since we're doing this podcast, we're going to call him out. Gilbert Arenas. Big fan, but also, man, what? I can't believe you almost had me thinking for a while there. You got me heated for a second there. But, it's all good fun. It's all good fun now. But it's just a funny story to think about now, all these years later.
Yeah, and that's 100% Gilbert, too. That's very much his personality. Even today.
It's his brand.
You see, yeah, it's his brand. There you go.
Man, that was definitely a very interesting day, dude. It was one of those times where I was like, oh, I think I went too far this time on the Twitter.
Oh, no such thing. No such thing as going too far on Twitter.
Especially in those times, that was mild compared to what happens nowadays. But yeah.
Yeah, these days that's
barely a blip on the radar.
That's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happened. Oh, that's nothing.
2014, when that happened, it was like, it was like a major sneaker blog war going on there. Very, very interesting time.
Shout out to Gilbert.
Shout out to Gilbert, obviously. So let's pivot now to Puma, our favorite brand to call out on the show. Shout out to Lewis Hamilton, wearing the hat today. He calls it Puma, so we're going to call it Puma as well. And they have a new sneaker coming out, the PUMA MB04, LaMelo Ball's latest signature shoe. And people are basically saying it's the same shoe. A lot of comments, a lot of chatter is people saying, oh, it's basically the same thing as the 03 and the 02 and the 01. And there is some truth to that, I think. Like when you look at the shoe, like the general shape of it is the same. Yeah. It's just when you look closer, you can definitely see the differences in the aesthetics and the design and everything. Yeah. But is the stereotype, is this perception going to end up being like a bad thing for Puma in the long run because they keep coming out with the shoe that people think is just the same thing year after year?
I think, well, if we go back, every brand and every most signature shoe lines, they kind of iterate a couple of models. So it's not like this is something that we haven't seen before, that we haven't seen other brands do. This is a little more obvious in that regard, like that the inspiration comes from, another, from the previous shoe. And kind of like we said in the show, looking at it from a distance, it does feel very similar. There is, it's not like people are just pulling this out of their asses. Like the shoes definitely look similar in the way that they're shaped and everything. So it's not wrong, but it's also not right, I guess, because there is tech and there are things in there that are different. It's one of those things where it's like, he's not wrong. I'm not saying that he's right, but they're not wrong at the same time. Right. I think it's a great strategy for Puma. I think it's great strategy for, especially for the kids that aren't into sneakers as much. So they'll buy anything that LaMelo makes. Right. And I think if it all kind of looks the same, to them, it gives that same energy. So I don't think it needs to look different. The lifestyle version, the La Francais or whatever it is, that looks different enough.
Yeah, that's your differentiator.
That's his differentiator. Otherwise, they're just trying to make the best basketball shoe that they think kids and LaMelo are going to love.
Right. This feels like a situation where it's not for the older sneakerhead, the one who's been in the game for a long time. This feels like a decision that is made for the LaMelo fans, the Zoomer generation, the Gen Z, whatever you want to call it. And it's a different strategy. That's why it's just shocking to us. But then again, you're right. We have seen other signature shoe lines kind of just iterate shoe by shoe. Look at the Kobe 4 to the Kobe 5 to the Kobe 6 to the 7 to the 8 to the it's just it's a very similar shape. It's a very similar shoe. And yeah, there were I do remember people complaining at the time that the Kobe's did kind of look the same after a while. But it wasn't as loud as it was with LaMelo's. But that's also like a thing where people are not as big fans of LaMelo as they are Kobe, and vice versa, and whatever you want to call it.
Well, I would say it's probably more that we're a lot more vocal online than we were back then with Kobe. Like, we talked a lot of, we did talk a lot of trash back with Kobe, but now I think it's so much more obvious that people are talking, and it's so much more accessible, and voices, people understand that their voices are being heard, and so they're speaking up a lot more. So I think that's probably why we're seeing more about it with LaMelo than we heard it with Kobe. But I still like them. I still think they look great. I think they have a great thing going. Will they eventually change? Maybe. But it's also one of those things that, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of things. A lot of sneaker brands change shoes just for the sake of changing the way his shoes look. There's not like a real performance benefit.
It feels like the LeBron was like that for a while. Like in the early years of LeBron shoes, yes, they were very different year by year. But I don't know if that was necessarily the best thing for LeBron's line at the time. Hindsight is different. Like, hindsight kind of tells us differently. But yeah, I think this might be a situation where PUMA knows what they're doing. They have the data. They bring back the MB-01, and they know what their fans like. And maybe it's not necessarily something for the sneakerheads, the older heads, or anything like that. But I feel like if they understand what their consumer, what their base wants, just give it to them.
Yeah, and I think there's a great opportunity to experiment too. Like, have some fun with it, Puma. Like, and
they're definitely having fun with it. You
have an athlete that is very much of this generation. He's fun. He likes to have fun. He likes to do crazy things. Let's continue to have fun with it and tell those stories and make them relatable, and don't worry about what people are saying online. As long as they like the shoes and the shoes are performing and the kids are buying the shoes.
Yeah. At the end
why
of the day,
worry about the cool guys that like want you to make something for Fashion Week? That's not the vibe.
Are you saying we're the cool guys, Jacques?
No, I would never.
Okay, was there ever a point where we were technically the cool people?
No.
There was never a time?
No, never.
Never. There was never a point in our history with doing this that we ever considered ourselves the cool kids?
Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to
yourself. Oh, I'm not doing it to myself. I'm just saying, was there ever a time where we were the cool kids?
Never the cool kid.
Never the cool kids. Always the ones looking in. Or is it always the ones out on the outside looking in is what you're saying.
Yeah, just looking in. We were reporting. We were reporting and sharing information. We weren't the actual cool kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, I agree. You're definitely right. I was just trying to make ourselves feel better a little bit there.
Nah. I'm comfortable knowing I'm not one of the cool guys.
Yes, of course. Well, speaking of cool, and another thing that might not be for us, the Nike and Lego collaboration. That thing was revealed a couple of days ago, and I saw the reel that you posted, and yeah, you had some thoughts. You had some thoughts about it, Jacques, and we did post a bit about it on the show. And we talked about how this might necessarily be something for the sneakerheads again. This is something for the younger generation, for the kids to go ahead and touch grass.
Which is great. Which is, to be fair, if that's what this is all about, fantastic. There is a selfish part of me that wants this to be more about everybody and not just the kids. I think Lego and Nike are brands that have mind share with pretty much whoever you are, whatever age you are. And I think this collaboration or partnership or whatever they're going to call it could afford to address the entire breadth of that audience and not just the young people.
So what would you want to see, though, Jacques? What would you want to see from a Nike and Lego collaboration for the older sneakerheads, for the Lego collectors, or not necessarily for the kids? What would you like to see?
I would like to see them treat Nike like they treat Star Wars.
Oh, okay. So you're saying Jordan 1 Lego set?
Jordan 1, Air Max 90, Air Force
Right.
One, and in those iconic colorways.
Sure.
Like, how cool would a Chunky Dunky Lego thing be? Like, that would be so
we got
cool
Ben
to
and
me.
Jerry's Nike and Lego. That would
Yes,
be...
yes, a Ben and Jerry's Nike Lego Chunky Dunky set. I think that would be cool.
And the thing that would be cool about that is it's because it's Lego actually making it. It would actually look as close to the real thing as you could possibly get. Because no disrespect to people who have made custom Jordan 1s or Dunks or whatever, they're just not going to have the pieces possible in order to make them as good as like what Lego would do. Like, for example, like with the Millennium Falcon or anything with Star Wars. Yeah, people can make their own custom whatevers, or whatever they want to make. But having Lego actually put the design together, put the bricks together that are properly shaped, that's going to be the difference. And yeah, no, I think it would be something cool. And Jacques, I would definitely love to see some like white cement or black cement Lego 3s. That would be...
Yeah,
that
and
would be
even
awesome.
even to take it beyond that, I would love to see like the what is it called? The
even that
VW bus.
Oh, yes.
VW
yeah.
bus
That history of Nike thing, like when we talked about on the show, it could be exploring Nike's history, their growth, the Ducks, I mean, it does kind of tie back to Nike's history because they are in Oregon, and then there's the Pegasus. So
the
I
Nike
think
campus. They could do like the Nike campus.
Oh, that would be
like
cool.
the buildings, like the buildings from Nike campus. I feel like that's a cool way to
The Michael
share
Jordan building or something like that.
The Michael Jordan building, the LeBron building, all of those things. The DNA lab, like all of that stuff. Have like the Lego.
Is that the one we're not allowed
Figures,
to go in?
yeah, the one we're not allowed in. The Lego figures and like their doctor coats and things like that, like their lab coats. I think that stuff like that would be cool, especially for the Nike person that's like really into the brand. And this is another way kind of to extend that brand and that experience to them, since they'll like, a lot of people never get the opportunity to go to Nike campus.
Right.
They'll never get to go to DNA, and this is kind of like their way to kind of see those things. But then also, I think it's fun to have like do the kids stuff as well.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
totally
I think
against the kids.
Not totally against the kids. That is the quote of the show. That should be the title of the show. Not totally against the kids.
Not totally against the kids.
Jacques Slade quote. we should do like the Jordan meme. Just have you right there with this with the black and white picture. Not totally against the kids.
Not
Jacques
totally
Slade.
against those kids.
But I think
like
that's
that.
where it'll start. The kids will be the focus at the start. And since this is a multi-year partnership, I feel like with enough people talking about this, they probably already do have plans in the works. It's just that they're going to focus on the kids at the moment to start things off.
And to be fair, they should start on the kids. Like, start with the kids, get them
The
outside.
sincerity in
get
your
them to have
face and your
fun.
voice when you say that.
No, it's true. I mean, to be fair, they should. They honestly should start with the kids. But I do want them to address the broader public with this partnership, because it's a partnership that I think not just the kids. The kids don't care whether they do it or not. It's the older group that kind of cares, because we have that nostalgia factor, and like Lego has a nostalgia with all of us, honestly. So it'd be great to see them to address them as well. And then in every background of everybody's video, you see a little Lego sneaker or a little Lego Michael Jordan building or something in the background.
No, that's cool. That's definitely cool. Well, all right. Yeah, no. So we'll definitely pin that and hope for the best with Nike and Lego in the future. It's going to start in 2025, and hopefully we'll see something soon afterwards for us.
Yes. Let's hope. Let's hope. But
All right. Well,
we're not holding
speaking
up
of us, well, actually, more specifically, you. Let's talk golf. It's,
yes.
the Tour Championship is this weekend. It is the conclusion of the FedEx Cup, and Scottie Scheffler is so basically he's got the 2-shot lead going into it.
Yes.
So he's primed to be likely to be well, he's going to be the favorite heading into it just because he's Scottie Scheffler. He's probably the best golfer in the world. But what are your thoughts on this season, Jacques? Because you've worked with the PGA Tour, you have your show on there, and what has it been like covering the tour?
It's been really fun, honestly. It's an experience I didn't know how it would be accepted by the community, both the community that I'm a part of in the sneaker world and the golf community, which I'm getting into more. And both have been very great, very open and very welcome. The players have been super cool, super like nice. I love the world, and some of the players have been really fantastic, like talking to me in person and doing interviews and things like that. So it's been really exciting. It's been a good year, and I'm looking forward to kind of seeing where things go next year. There are some changes that we're making for next year, so we'll see how those go. But overall, I think it's exciting. It shows that the tour is willing to do some different things and explore different worlds. They just had the Creator Cup, which happened this past yesterday, and that went really well. People were super excited about that. It did. They did like 120,000 concurrent views on YouTube, which is great for the tour. Which is, those are great numbers. The community got behind it. There were pro golfers that were getting behind it. So it's good to see that the world of creators and the world of players are all kind of coming together. And I think we'll see a lot more from those in the next year.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. I'm glad that you are really getting into that world because you've been a golf fan for a while.
Yeah.
And just to hear those stories and what you tell me and all the cool stuff you've been able to do with the PGA is just it's good to hear, and I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you, man. But
Thank you, man.
Yeah, but let's talk about like the actual season itself. There's been a lot of talk between who's had the better season, Scottie Scheffler or Xander Schauffele. We've got Scottie Scheffler who's won a lot, like a lot.
A lot. Yeah,
a lot. He won the Masters, and he also won an Olympic gold medal. And then you've got Xander Schauffele, who has, I believe, 2 wins, but they're 2 majors, right? It's the PGA and the British Open. So, and there's been a lot of people there's a lot of tour players who've been asked on tour, which season would you prefer? And a lot of people seem to be going with Schauffele just because, it's 2 majors. And I thought to myself, well, Scottie Scheffler has a Masters, which is, in my personal opinion, that's the tournament to win. If I had to have, if I was a golfer and I only ever won 1 major, I would pick the Masters over anything. And then the Olympic gold medal only comes once every 4 years. Majors are 4 times a year. And to be fair, the Olympics only took golf back in, since 2016. It's relatively new. It's going to take a while for people to really care about it in the same way as a major. But the fact that it's every 4 years, the fact that it's so exclusive. There's only ever going to be like a handful of players. Tiger Woods is never going to win a gold medal. That's a bummer because he's never going to get that chance because it was not a thing when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
So that kind of accomplishment actually, I think, will grow over time. And I think people will look at it not necessarily as like a 5th major, but as like a major, really as a major accomplishment. Not necessarily like a quote unquote major, but like a huge accomplishment that few people will ever get a chance to get. And I think that with that in mind, I think I would actually pick Scottie Scheffler's season over Schauffele's.
I think I would pick. Now, I'm saying this as a non-professional golfer. I think the people that say Schauffele don't want to give Scottie his props. It's hard to deny how well Scottie has played this year, and majors be damned. Scottie has been balling out this year. And for someone to...
Is that a little bit of a competitive thing? Like, hey,
Oh, I think that's 100% a competitive thing. You have to say Schauffele, and you have to say majors because majors count for more, I guess, in a sense. You know, that's the energy you get from these players. But the way Scottie has been giving them bars, I think they feel they don't want to give him those props in a sense. Not that they don't acknowledge that he's been playing really well, but they don't want to give him those props because I think it makes it hard to go up against a guy that's been playing that well and for you to be like, yeah, man, I would love to have his season. You know what I mean? That's different versus Schauffele, who has been playing well, by the way. Not to say that Schauffele hasn't been playing well, but he hasn't been balling out the way that Scottie's been balling out. Scottie's been coming back. Like Saturday and Sunday, he's been like on rampages and just coming back and blowing by people. So I can't. I would say Scottie. Easy money for me is Scottie.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. So that's an interesting take at it, Jacques. Like it's a competitive thing. So do you feel like this is a situation where people are looking at Scottie like certain players of a certain generation looked at Tiger, where they wouldn't necessarily always give him his props? Like 100%. You would hear like, you know, Colin Montgomery or Lee Westwood and Sergio Garcia. I'm always just naming the European players, but they're the ones who are always the one most likely to kind of say something about Tiger and not necessarily give him his due when he was at his apex.
Oh, 100%. And it's an athlete thing. You know, it's a competitive thing. You don't want them to think that you are, what's the word? Not impressed, but you are in awe of what this person's doing. So, especially if it gets back to that person, because that's a competitive advantage. There's no way. If I'm Tiger and I hear Sergio say something like, yeah, Tiger's been playing really well and he's been almost unbeatable. Like the next time we on the course together, especially if it's close at the end and you're there, oh, I already know you're thinking about me. I already know you're thinking about me. So like that's going to give me a confidence on top of the confidence that I already have. So I think it's all strategy. It's all strategy.
Well, yeah, no, that's very cool. And I think Scheffler definitely deserves that. Deserves that kind of, whatever you want to call it, praise, faint praise from his colleagues, like that kind of thing. I think that's definitely cool. So, last thing about the PGA thing though, Jacques. I would say, what is it, year 2 of the Live Golf thing? Yeah. So is it 2 or 3? Has it been 2 years or 2 or 3 years? Yeah. And you know, you got a chance to actually go to events. You know, with your work with the PGA Tour. What would you say has been? Do you notice any difference in the energy on tour, like with the players, with the fans, since certain players aren't there? You know, like Phil.
I don't see a difference in the energy. I don't see a difference in the energy. I think the energy is the same. I do think the audience, the consumers, the people that are watching the tournaments do miss those guys at tournaments. I think we would all love to see Bryson, or we would all love to see DJ playing.
One of those.
And John, even John, especially John, I should say, especially John.
No, 2 of those 3.
Would love to see them playing. But the quality of the golf that we're getting and the way that guys like Colin and Scottie and Xander are playing, and like Sahith and even Tony Finau and all of these guys are playing really well right now. I don't think we miss the quality of the game. I do think we miss the personalities of those players.
Interesting. Because some of those players like DJ and John Rahm, they definitely do bring like a certain like vibe, a swag, or to the game. So, but yeah, I feel like once you're actually there, I guess like when you're at the tournament or when you're watching, well, maybe not on TV, but like when you're actually there, it's hard to really notice who's not there, I guess, if the competition is really high.
Yeah, the crowds are still following their favorite players. People are still hooting and hollering when somebody makes a long putt or they stripe a drive. So that energy is still there. That energy hasn't changed. Although, media can tell you differently, but I would say, if anything, they just miss the personalities of those people. No one's going to walk onto the first tee the way that DJ walks onto the first tee. There's a certain swag about him, and no one in the on the tour right now, I feel like has that same sort of vibe or energy. But when you get someone up there and they stripe a ball, all that goes out the window.
Yeah. I wish I knew what it was like to stripe a ball. I wish I knew what that was like. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've gotten on the range or anything like that. But anyway, Jacques, good episode. Good second episode of the 2Hard2Pass podcast. But before we go, let's do our Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus.
Yeah, let's do it.
For people who missed it for the first episode, this is basically the segment where we name our Sneaker Mount Rushmore. But instead of doing it the typical, what's your top four, what's your best four, whatever you want to call it, we do it a little differently here. So our Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus is one OG colorway, one non-OG colorway, a collab, a player exclusive, and a wild card. Hence why it's called Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus. So today we are going to do the Air Jordan 2, since we did the Air Jordan 1 last week. So, do you want to start or do I start?
I could start.
Okay. So what is your OG colorway of the Air Jordan 2?
Just the regular white and red colorway.
Yeah, because there's actually I think only two colorways.
Yeah, just the regular white and red. Not the one with the there's the one with the black bottom. I'm not a fan of the one with the black bottom. I like the one with the white bottom. No, I should say white midsole, not white black, white.
Right.
That, not white bottom, white midsole.
Yes, and I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the Air Jordan 2.
Which is fair.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more divisive of the early Jordans. But I do like the Air Jordan 2 low. For whatever reason, I've never vibed with the Air Jordan 2 in its regular shape. But as a low, I like it as a lifestyle shoe. There's always been something about it that just screams lifestyle to me, whether it was because it was crafted in Italy or, it was made in Italy. And, the design of it just always screamed to me as something that I could wear off the court. Not necessarily something that I could wear. Yeah, so every pick that I'm going to have here is going to be Jordan 2 lows. And I'm also going to go with the white and red lows.
Okay. See, I'm not a fan of the lows. I'm not a fan of the lows. So this is going to be interesting. So what's the second one?
Non-OG colorway.
Non-OG colorway. There was a green Dornbecker one.
So does that count? Yeah, okay. It doesn't count as collab. That's basically just a typical.
Oh, maybe that's a collab. Okay.
Yeah.
If that's a collab, hold on. Let me think. Let me go. I gotta go look because I don't remember anything off the top of my head.
Don't worry, we edited this on for the social clip anyway.
Let me see.
But yeah, no, Jordan 2 highs have just never appealed to me, which is cool.
Oh, I know a non-OG colorway. My nephew actually has a pair. They have a black cement colorway of the two.
Okay, so that will be your non-OG.
Yeah.
So for mine, I will go with something that came out recently. It's the Air Jordan 2 Responsibility low. So it's also a black shoe, but it's also got materials that are not common on the Jordan 2. And like I said, it just screamed to me as a shoe that I could just wear wherever, not necessarily as a hooping shoe or not even something like that. But yeah,
I like that.
All right, and now for your turn, it's the collab.
Dauncey, the blue one, that's
blue
a good one with the quilted pattern on the upper. Yeah, yes. I think they were made of suede and leather. That's got to be, that's the only one that I could think of. But that's still a good one.
Yeah. So for my collab, I'm gonna go with shout out to the late Virgil Abloh, the off-white Jordan 2s, also the white and red. So I was like, wait, are there Jordan 2 low collabs? And thankfully there was. So I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I think I would still pick Dauncey. I didn't remember that one, but I think I would still pick the Dauncey one over that one.
Yeah, no, it's a good pick. While I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the highs, I do appreciate the quality and the look of those two in particular. Yeah. Shout out to Dauncey. For your player exclusive.
I have no idea of a player exclusive. I can't even think of one. I don't even know. Who wore PEs of the Jordan 2?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many, players from back in the days. You had, Rip Hamilton, Mike Bibby,
Ray Allen, I don't know.
Those guys.
I'm not.
Carmelo.
I don't remember any of those. Oh, maybe do Mel. Oh, was the Melo had a... Was it a PE though? There was a mellow color, like a Denver color mellow. Was that a PE?
I think that's a PE that actually released, but that still counts as long as.
Okay,
it's
so
like,
then I'll take that one, the mellow one. I didn't know if that was a PE. I thought that was just like a release, but if that counts as a PE, I'll take that one.
Right. And then for my PE, I'll just go with the Mike Bibby, just because I always thought those looked cool. It's I think there was like a black and purple pair and a white and purple pair, but I'll go with the white and purple one.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, so shout out Team Dime. I always like that logo too. And then for the wild card,
maybe that's when I'll go with the Dornbecker then.
the Dornbecker, yeah. No, that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
The green Dornbecker one. I think that was from 15. Was it 15?
2015?
Hold on.
Wow, it's so long ago. Wow.
Maybe 14. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up. Let me look it up.
So while you're looking that up, I'm going to name my wild card, and it's a shoe that came out this year. It's the Jordan 2-3, the 2/3, and it was just eye opener for me. I never thought about it. Like, what would the Jordan 2 look like if it had the Jordan 3 tooling? And I thought to myself, this is actually better. This is what the Air Jordan 2 should have been all this time. And I think I would have liked the Jordan 2 from the jump if it had the Jordan 3 tooling. I don't know. There's something about the exposed air, something about the shape. I just like threes anyway. Threes are probably in my top 2 or 3 favorite Jordans of all time. Jordan balls. Yeah, and I've always loved the look of the bottom. And to put that on the 2 and put it on a low, it's just awesome to me. And I think the Jordan 2 would just be higher up in my rankings if that was always the case. But doesn't matter. Now that it's here, I do like it, and that's going to be my wild card. It's the Jordan 2-3 or 2/3 or whatever you want to, 2/3, whatever it is. I just see it as like,
Okay, quick update. So the DB was in 2007, so I was completely wrong.
Wow, that was all the way back.
I know. I thought it was. Man, we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, we were doing.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so that is our Air Jordan 2's respective Sneaker Mount Rushmore.
Wow, Mount Rushmore. I got you.
I was about to say mushroom. Our Sneaker Mount Rushmore pluses, and so people can talk about it on the comments. Let us know which one is better. Mine is obviously better. And just let us know. And if you have your own personal Jordan 2 Sneaker Mount Rushmore plus, let us know. Leave an email. So just let us know what you think. And thank you for listening to 2Hard2Pass, the after show for Hard Pass. And I appreciate you. Jacques appreciates you, I'm sure. I'm speaking for him right now. He is thankful that you guys are watching this, listening to this, or however you want to.
Definitely thankful you guys are watching. This. We appreciate you. Like, favorite, subscribe, all of the things. Make sure you leave us a review. We're on across all of the podcast platforms, and we'll see you next week on the next episode.
So this is again Juan Martinez, Easyville, EasyYVILLE. I'm actually posting again because we have to put clips up of the show.
And I'm Jacques.
By the way, Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'm Jacques Slade, Cousteau, on all of the places, KUSTOO.
Shout out to everybody who texted me or left a message or posted a comment. I was like, oh, Juan's back.
Juan's back.
Shout out to Sneaker History, the guys over there. Nick, he posted a story that said Easyville's back in the spotlight and we're here for it. And I was like, what? Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that, man.
Community love. It's always great.
Yeah, no, good times. But thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. And I won't make fun of Jacques this time because he cut me off the last episode.
Peace. We out.
We out.